The Florida Gators football team has quit on the 2025 season, and they benched DJ Lagway.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I am Brandon Olsen. Welcome to Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and now the #1 sports podcast network. And I like to say happy Monday, happy whatever. I'm not doing that. This is one of the worst games I've ever seen as a Florida Gators fan, which has been my whole life. So there's that. It was awful to watch, right? Like we can talk about it in a second. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. And when we talk about this miserable, embarrassing performance against Kentucky, there's a lot to go into it, right? We'll talk about where the team goes from here. We'll talk about the team quitting. But first, DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway got benched at halftime on Saturday night. Unsurprising, or I don't want to say unsurprisingly, actually. Very deserved to get benched. I was surprised that they actually did do it. He's just been horrendous this year. There's no other way to put it. I mean, it was week 2, and I was putting out articles about why or what's wrong with DJ Lagway, right? It was week 2. It was week 4, and we were talking about, all right, well, how do you fix him? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? He just never panned out, right? And I don't put as much of the blame on him as I think a lot of people might do. I don't do the whole insulting a guy because he's underperforming. That's not what I do. And I still believe that DJ Lagway is fixable. A month or so ago, I said I don't know if he's fixable at Florida, and honestly, I just feel more confident in that now than I think ever. Of just I don't know if he's fixable, but I don't think he's fixable at Florida. I think this is one of those times where you go, all right, for the good of both parties, we need to go separate directions for this, because I do think it's for the good of both parties at this point. I think that the fan base has completely turned on DJ Lagway. I think that a lot of people have turned on him completely, and I don't know how you get that back, right? And we've seen that before with college football specifically. We've seen it where fan bases turn on players and there's no way back. And that's not to blame the fans. I'm not doing that in this case. But that's what happens, right? And DJ Lagway just got benched in a really awful season with little to no redeeming qualities in it, but also where they gave him every single opportunity to do something right, and he just didn't. It was awful. Even when he made the right read, it was awful. Throws, his mechanics have gone to crap. And look, last year I was one of DJ's bigger critics, right? At least in Florida Gators media and Florida Gators fan base, I was one of DJ Lagway's bigger critics. This is different than even what I was critiquing, right? Like this is pure regression. And regression in the sense of he got injured, and because you can sometimes see why people regress, right? You can understand it. And for DJ Lagway, he got injured. I think that he was throwing in that time, but while throwing injured, his mechanics adjusted, right? Whether it was he couldn't put enough pressure on this foot, whether it was just, it just takes me a little longer now, whatever it was, or whatever injury that caused it. I think that because he was throwing while injured, he had to throw different ways. And because of that, it really shot his mechanics. His confidence has been shot. It's just there's not much good film from this year. And last year you had the deep shot that was hitting. This year teams took that away, and it was like, all right, well, you need to adjust. And I mean, we're what, 2.5 months into the season, and there's been no adjustment there. At a certain point, you got to just say it's not coming, right? And I think that's why Billy Gonzalez made the call to say, all right, we're going to Tramell Jones. We're going with the true freshman starting quarterback now. And look, we'll see what's going to happen in this game, right? I know that there are people who, in the fan base, former players that go, hey, you know what? He doesn't need to be benched forever, but you got to let him sit on the sideline for a few series and just take him out of the game, take him out of his head, take him out of this, whatever. So maybe the thought was, hey, we're just going to take him out for the rest of the half and let him sit for the rest of this game and then give him another go next week. Maybe. Personally, not my preference. Personally, I'm good to move on there. Tramell Jones should get starter reps all week. Tramell Jones wasn't good versus Kentucky. But the situation wasn't really one that you went in there going, all right, let's find some success here. I think it was like, all right, let's get him some game reps. And if he finds success, he finds success. And that's a great thing. And we'll celebrate that. But I do think that the driving point of it was to just get that game experience. For Tramell Jones, at least. Wasn't good. Wasn't going to be. Like, Kentucky's defense is good. They knew you were going to throw the football a bunch. DJ Lagway failed at the University of Florida. Maybe part of that is that the University of Florida and Billy Napier failed at DJ Lagway. Maybe part of it is that DJ Lagway failed everyone else as well. Like, this wasn't... I don't think that this decision came lightly at all from Billy Gonzalez, but it was the right one, right? And for everybody that is making a big stink about On3 tweeted during the game that the Florida Gators have benched DJ Lagway for Tramell Jones, and Lane Kiffin retweeted it, and I know people were sending it to me during the post-game live show, and I read it on the post-game live show. I think it's less of a troll than other people want it to be. Because I know that people saw it, screenshotted it, and went, oh, he's trolling Florida. He's trolling Florida. He's doing this. He's like all those things. And it's like, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that this is more so about Lane Kiffin always interacts with upcoming opponents on the schedule. His next opponent just benched their starting quarterback. I don't think everything needs to be, and I'm not saying he's not trolling in any of this. I just hate that weird everything Lane does is trolling Florida. It doesn't make sense to me. So I will say that Lane Kiffin will see Tramell Jones, which for Florida, I mean, Ole Miss hasn't like Ole Miss can't really watch the Florida film and say, all right, this is what they're going to do with Tramell at quarterback. Maybe they spread things out more. We'll see what happens, like who's healthy for this game, if anyone's coming back for it. We'll see what happens with Trey Wilson. Aiden Mizell did not look healthy while he was out there on Saturday night. He really didn't. Like Aiden Mizell was walking gingerly everywhere. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see who from the team is still willing to fight their ass off, because tell you what, on Saturday night, there were not many guys that you can say that about. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means that it's time to get your home ready. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are already happening all month long, with up to 70% off of everything from sofas to spatulas It's great to save money and upgrade, right? Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, wherever it's in the podcast and on YouTube. And I mentioned this earlier. The Florida Gators quit. The Florida Gators quit on the logo. They're not playing for the patch, we can tell you that. The Florida Gators quit on the logo. The Florida Gators quit on you. The Florida Gators quit on me. The Florida Gators quit on themselves. They quit on everybody. And there's no way to put that lightly. There's no way to sugarcoat that. There's no way to work around that. This is a team that quit. Like, if they could have tapped out and called it a day, they probably would have. It was that kind of game. And I don't think I've ever seen it before to that extent. I don't think I've ever seen a Florida Gators team, or really many teams, quit to the extent that they quit against Kentucky. Kentucky broke you. That's where we're at. Not only did Kentucky beat your ass up and down the field for 60 minutes, they broke you mentally. And that is just so damn embarrassing. It is. Kentucky did that to you. We're both basketball schools now, right? This was just, yeah, I don't know how else to put it other than this team quit on everybody, and it's embarrassing and it's disgusting, really. Like, that's, I try to give players the benefit of the doubt on a lot of things, but my main thing with everything is like, hey, if you fail, you fail. But as long as you worked your absolute hardest to succeed, that is what it is. Like I can live with that. I can live with failing as long as I know that I did everything right and I tried everything right and I didn't leave room for failure. Florida left room for failure. Florida failed, and then Florida quit. That's it. There were still some guys playing hard every snap, right? There are some guys that are gonna do that. There are some guys that really do play for the patch, that really do play for the people in the locker room with them. There are some guys that even if they play for themselves, even if you're like selfishly playing for yourself, you're still playing, putting in full effort. Which you can argue why people do things. I don't care. As long as you're trying your hardest, that's it. And this team didn't. Like, the overwhelming majority of this roster folded once they faced adversity in this game. Once they faced adversity in this game, they folded in incredible fashion. They folded so bad it was impressive. That's what they quit harder than anyone has ever quit before. You lost 38-7 to Kentucky. You had a decent drive going to start the game before your quarterback threw an interception. Give up a field goal defensively. Okay. And it wasn't like they needed to, like, it wasn't like Kentucky had this long drive. Minutes wise, yes, they did, but yardage wise, they picked up like 25, 30 yards in that drive. Then you go and you punt, and Kentucky muffs the punt and you recover. And then you score a touchdown. And you don't score a touchdown for the remainder of the game. You don't score a point for the remainder of the game. You don't threaten to score a point. Like that's where we're talking about. That's the kind of trash that we're talking about from this game. That's what we saw. That's what we dealt with. There was one stretch where DJ Lagway and Cutter Boley just decided to play hot potato. I think Cutter Boley did it because he just knew that Florida wasn't going to do anything back. And I think DJ Lagway did it because he wanted to get benched. That's it. Like that was just, it was embarrassing to watch these guys just fold like that. And on the sideline or on the field even, you can see that guys were going at each other in that game. I talked about it on Saturday night. There was a play where Sharif Denson was the nearest defender when Kentucky had a completion and a gain and a first down, I'm pretty sure. And Sharif Denson was the nearest defender. And then he turns around and he's yelling at Cormani McClain. And Cormani McClain and him start arguing. I'm assuming that there was some kind of miscommunication there, but even then, I don't know who to blame for it. But I will blame this team. I will blame this team for quitting. I will blame this team for just folding completely. And I don't know what it was that they went into this game and they just said, "Hey, the moment we get punched in the mouth, we're gonna tap out." And you can't go into Kentucky with that mindset. Like, again, Kentucky is a team where they are really good at what they do. And what they do is make things ugly and messy and hideous, and you don't want to watch it. You don't want to be a part of it. And you went in there and you got smoked by that. You went up against a team that's going to say, hey, if we could break their spirit, we will. And then you went, you know what? Already broken. Don't even worry about it. That's what we just watched. This team quit. I am increasingly going towards the idea that there might be quite a few more portal additions than people anticipated initially. I think when a lot of people, or when Billy Napier got fired, a lot of people went, oh, is there going to be like a mass exodus now? And a lot of people, myself included, said, I don't think a mass exodus really. Like, you're still going to lose a good bit of guys to the portal with every head coaching change. But mass exodus, I don't think so. I still don't think it's mass exodus territory, I'll say, but I do think that you're going to see considerably more turnover than I think people were anticipating. Just because at this point, like, whether it's Lane or not Lane, whoever the new head coach is going to be, that Kentucky game would tell me I don't want that guy on my team. It's as simple like I think that there's going to be a lot of guys hitting the portal. I don't know if it's their choice or not, but I think there's going to be a lot of guys hitting the portal. Partially because a lot of them were mentally weak in this game. That just is what it is. And mentally weak doesn't mean dumb. It means, like you're not willing to fight through adversity and you can't bounce back from that. You're not the, get knocked down 9 times, stand up 10 kind of like that's not you. And that's what this team showed very heavily throughout the roster on Saturday. And so if I'm the new head coach coming in, I'm going, yeah, you out, you out, you out, you quit out, you quit out. Like, I'm going to look at all those guys and I'm going to say, I'm out. I don't want you. Hell, Florida had a player quit before the game with Tank Hawkins, which we didn't even know until the commentators said it. The commentators said, hey, yeah, like Tank Hawkins isn't out there. He's choosing not to play so that he can maintain his red shirt. That means he's gone, right? Like, I don't think I've ever heard someone say, I don't want to play, even though I'm healthy. I don't want to play so that I can maintain my red shirt and come back. I don't think I've ever heard that happen, right? So we can assume that's at least one guy entering the portal. On3 does this new, like, expected to enter the portal thing. Well, you can go ahead and do that for Tank. You can say that you expect that from Tank Hawkins now, because think just about everybody does at this point. I think everybody expects that, and it's embarrassing. They're going to stay embarrassing, and they should be embarrassed. Like, I genuinely, I hope a lot of those guys feel personally embarrassed for the lack of effort that they put out there. You get paid now. I don't give you the grace of going like, oh yeah, kid this, kid that. You get paid now. And if you get paid more than me, I do not feel bad criticizing you for it. And so that's where we're at with it. It's just, this is a bad football team, apparently. That's just awful because they're not mentally built for it at this point. We'll talk about where the Florida Gators go from here when we get back with Lockdown Gators. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hey, even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. I'm just saying, I will sit there on an NFL Sunday and live bet this player to catch a pass. I did it on Thursday Night Football. Brock Bowers. It wasn't working for me early on, right? We adjusted. We made some more money. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever the podcast and on YouTube. To wrap up today's episode, where did the Florida Gators go from here? I'll tell you this now. If you're a fan and you're thinking about, what's the rest of the season going to look like? Is this going to be a rough end of the season? Just might be. just might be one of the roughest 3-week stretches you will endure as a Florida Gators fan. It is, because you've got Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. Who knows what he's going to do, right? That's potentially brutal. You got Tennessee in the swamp. Who knows what they're going to do? They could put up a lot of points. They give up a lot of points, but it does not matter if you're the defense that gives up a lot of points or plays stellar football. Florida's going to find ways to get to 7 and 17 points in that range. Doesn't matter what you do. Florida's getting between 7 and 17 points. Tennessee could score a lot, especially if the secondary looks as mentally defeated as they looked against Kentucky, which is not a throwing team, not a passing team. You end with Florida State, which, I mean, I don't know which game's going to be uglier. Florida State at the end of this year, or Florida State in the end of the 2023 season when Jordan Travis got injured and Graham Mertz was injured. And it was Max Brown and I think it was Luke Cromahawk that started for them. I forgot who it was, but yeah, it's going to be ugly game. So there's that. So it could be really rough, and you very well stand the chance of losing all 3 of them. Yeah. I don't think when we talk about the mass exodus stuff, and we know, again, Tank Hawkins healthy, out. Billy Gonzalez mentioned after the game, he's like, yeah, Tank professionally is just like, hey, I want to keep my red shirt. And so I would like to, or I want to use my red shirt, and so I can keep a year of eligibility. And so I would appreciate that if I can redshirt the remainder of the season. I've said, like, I understand saying I want to keep a year of eligibility. The way that I look at it with Tank specifically is you've been unproductive for 2 seasons now. And so I feel like the better call would have been like, yeah, I'll use this eligibility so that I can put out some kind of film. Unless we got people that are reaching out to him trying to get him into the portal. I don't know. I think portaling's a fine idea. Like, I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying that, yeah, I think that the better call would have been like, all right, I'm going to go out there, maybe put something decent on film and convince teams that I still got it. Because yeah, you're a couple years removed now from being this blue chip recruit. So maybe just go out there and try to prove your worth again. So there's that with Tank being healthy, preserving his red shirt. That's also a fairly unique situation. Just because we're late enough into the season where a lot of guys have played over 4 games, right? So Tank gets to say, hey, I would like to use my red shirt here and be able to just call it a day. Again, you can do that. I think Jacoby Jackson can technically do that if he wanted to just redshirt, whether that would be redshirt and get healthy or whatever it is. I think because he played 4 games on offense. I don't think he did on special teams. Dallas Wilson is going to redshirt because of the injury. Moise Tunkara, I don't think will redshirt, but he is eligible to still, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's got 4 games played. Tramell Jones is going to burn his red shirt if he's the starting quarterback the rest of the way. Not making a bowl game, so that doesn't matter. But Tank Hawkins is a unique case here in terms of opting out to redshirt, just because, again, he hasn't played that much, so he gets to do that. And so I think that that's a unique thing. I don't think that's going to be, status quo throughout the rest of the roster. I think that most of the healthy players will continue playing. I do think that for the people that we've seen dealing with consistent injuries and legitimate injuries, I do think that we could see them call it and just be like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna redshirt if I can redshirt. If I can't redshirt, I still might just opt out, basically, to say, hey, I'm gonna get healthy. Because I think you've passed the point now where that's reasonable. Like Aiden Mizell, I mentioned earlier, like he was limping and walking gingerly or running gingerly everywhere he was going. And I commend him for going out there and playing. I do. Because he didn't have to. We know people opt out, right? Or we know someone has opted out. Aiden Mizell didn't have to go out there and play. I don't think anybody really had fun playing with DJ Lagway this year as your starting quarterback. And Aiden Mizell didn't play great, right? But again, we're talking about someone that was banged up, has been banged up this entire season. Good for him to go out there and make some plays. Wouldn't shock me if he went, all right, you know what? Like I went out there, I gave it a go. I didn't look great. I'm just going to get healthy for spring. You got 3 games left. You need to win out if you're going to make a bowl game. And let me just tell you, you're not winning out. So bowl game's done. Nothing to play for there. Like, and I mentioned this on, I think it was Thursday or Friday, to the Locked On Gators Insider program, that I don't know how it works for Florida specifically, but I do know that there are quite a few schools that have it where, like, you can't opt out if you're healthy and you're getting paid NIL, you have to play. And so I don't know how every school works with that. I don't know if Florida has that, but for someone like Aiden Mizell, I think it'd be fine to say, hey, you know what, you've been banged up all year, because he has been from the start of from fall camp through now. Aiden Mizell has been dealing with injuries. DJ Lagway should shut it down. I don't know if he's going to even get the choice to, but I think they might just tell him, hey, you can go ahead and shut it down, right? And so we could see that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to see a lot of healthy people opt out. I do think that if there's the rare guys that haven't burned a red shirt this year, they might opt into red shirt there. Guys that are banged up, I think, are less likely to play through those injuries now. And that, honestly, that's fine with me at this point. Let me see some of the youth. Let me see some guys that the next head coach could want to retain when he takes over. And let's just let's call it a day, right? Like let's call that one a day. I'm still just amazed with how they quit, honestly. Like that, I don't think I've ever been this disappointed in a Florida Gators team. And I know, like, I'm no one to them to be disappointed, but yeah, I don't think I've ever been this disappointed in a Florida Gators team. I don't care about an FCS loss, a USF loss, the Kentucky loss 2 years ago. That was straight quit. Like, we've seen plenty of games where they just don't play well. They don't show up. They can't get out of their own heads, stuff like that. Like, we've seen that before. That's sports, right? Like, that happens. But this was guys quitting. That shouldn't happen. And that's embarrassing for the logo. That's embarrassing for the program. And honestly, if you're one of those players that quit, it's embarrassing for you as well. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, whether it's in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow at the absolute latest to talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work about the Florida Gators with swampsignal.substack.com, and I'll see you all next time.